Welcome to Handheld Gaming Reviews, a channel dedicated to reviewing and comparing the performance of games on handheld devices. If you enjoy this content, a like and subscribe will go a long way to helping the channel and keeping me motivated to make more videos. In today's video, we're going to look at the performance of 2019 Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I've got some tips on getting the textures to load correctly on the Ally, so hang around for that part of my video if you've had issues in that area. Before we get into the side-by-side comparison, I want to note that I found the cloud cross-save functionality to be a little buggy. Sometimes it works and others it doesn't. If I had to guess, I'd say it's got something to do with EA insisting on their launcher running in the background and the cloud saves being stored outside of the Steam ecosystem. I'm likely showing my age here, but I really miss the good old days before every company decided they need to have their launcher running in the background in order to play their games, even if you bought their games on Steam. Going back on topic of the game, one thing I'd like to note is that the graphics setting in this game start at medium, then scale up to high and ultra. So to save confusion, when I'm talking about the medium preset, that's the lowest preset the game has to offer, with high being the mid-range and epic being, well, epic, I guess. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Performance on the Steam Deck. Performance on the Steam Deck is great. On the medium preset, you'll range from around 40 to 50 FPS with frames peaking up to 60. On the high preset, you'll experience frames between 35 and 45 with peaks in the 50s. I haven't tested this myself, but I dare say the high preset would be a good candidate for a locked refresh rate and FPS of 40 on the deck to save some battery life. Running the game on the epic preset, I experienced frames averaging between 35 and 40 with some dips into the high 20s. It's surprisingly playable and you could likely tweak some settings and have this running at a locked 30 FPS without issue. I will say that I find the difference between the high and epic preset when playing in handheld mode on the deck hard to distinguish, but each to their own, and the takeaway here is that you can tweak this game to suit your preferences. One final note, I am running Cryo utilities on the Steam Deck. I often forget to mention that. I haven't done anything too fancy with it, I've just literally left it at Cryobyte's recommended settings. I'll leave a link to Cryo's video in the description below for anyone who's not yet using his tool. It's a great way to squeeze more performance out of the deck and a pretty straightforward process. Performance on the ROG Ally. Before I get into the numbers, there was an issue with textures that I want to call out when playing on the Ally. When I first started playing on the Ally, I noticed the textures just wouldn't load and the game was running as if I'd set it to ultra low settings. After some digging around on the internet, I found an old Reddit post where people had taken some manual steps to force the game to recognize the amount of VRAM available. I've left a link to that post in the description below. Following this theory, I switched the Ally's VRAM settings in Armory Crate from auto to 6GB and the textures loaded just fine from that point forward. If anyone else has experienced this, I hope this little tip helps you out. Also, if you want the game to actually render at 1080p, make sure you have the graphics preset to full screen and not windowed or windowed full screen. Now that the textures are loading, let's talk about performance. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the performance on the Ally is great with the game running at 1080p across a range of TDPs without too much drama. I will say, and this is just anecdotal, I feel like the Ally stutters more than the Steam Deck. It's not at a level I would say takes you out of the gameplay experience, I just feel like the gameplay on the Steam Deck felt a little smoother. On the Ally, at a TDP of 15W on the medium preset running at 720p, you'll see frames between around 48 and 60, and if you're chasing battery life, this would be my recommended setting if you're happy with the fidelity hit. Pushing that screen resolution up to 1080p while still at 15W, you'll experience frames between 35 and 45 on medium and 23 and 35 on high. Bumping that TDP up to 20W and you'll see 45 to 55 on medium and 35 to 40 on high. In my experience, a TDP of 20W seems to hit the sweet spot in battery life versus fidelity. Bumping that TDP up to 30W, I didn't see a massive boost in frames. They were perhaps more consistent, although I don't have a tool that measures the averages or 1% highs and lows. I will say that docked running at 1080p 30W with high settings was a good experience, hitting between 35 and 45 frames with peaks a little higher than those that I experienced at 20W. And if you dock to power, why not? Pushing that preset up to epic with a TDP of 30 running at 1080p saw frames between 28 and 35. You could probably chase a locked 30 frames here by tweaking some of the settings. If you were playing docked on a larger TV screen, it might be worth tweaking. However, in my experience, running at the high preset looks fine. One final note on the Ally, as always, the Ally screen really pops as compared to the Steam Deck when playing in handheld mode. So what's the verdict? Well, you can't go wrong either way. So if you see this game on sale or just want to pick it up to play ahead of the latest Star Wars Jedi game, you'll be fine whether you're playing this on the Steam Deck or on the Ally. From a handheld perspective, on longer sessions, my go-to would be the Steam Deck. It doesn't look as nice, but still looks good enough for me, and the ergonomics on the Steam Deck make for a more comfortable play experience, at least for my hands. I played this on a 1-hour flight last week on the deck, and it was a great experience, dropping my 20k mAh battery bank down to around 35%. On a side note, for anyone who's been watching my videos and is waiting for the ANEO Air 1S review, I'm still waiting for dispatch despite ordering as an Indiegogo supporter back in August. Some posts on the Indiegogo page suggest that ANEO are planning to close out the remaining orders over the next month or so I might see the unit before Christmas. I'll let you all know as soon as it arrives. As with all my handhelds to date, I purchased it with my own funds, so I won't pull any punches on my experience in the review. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to hear my thoughts on the unit, although by the time I get it, it will likely have been on the market for a few months. If you've made it to the end of this video, a big thank you for watching. I know I keep saying this, but this channel really does keep surpassing my expectations with more and more subscribers joining the channel every week. A big thank you again to all of you. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch my videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.